Well, hey there, everybody. It's Nancy Fox, the Business Fox, and it's Friday. So guess what? It is Fired Up Friday, guys, and it is our time to do a Facebook Live. And I'm here with you every week to do a new training, a new conversation, and a new discussion about how you entrepreneurs fired up after 50 can be launching and growing your service-based businesses. And I'm thrilled to be with you every week. I love being here with you. Today I have my buddy Jackson is with me. He really wants to get on camera. He keeps trying to get in front of the camera, but I'm not sharing it with him today. So today we're here to talk about, I'm going to be doing some question answering today. It's sort of Ask the Coach Day. And I don't know who's going to show up with me live. Hi, Heather. Great to see you. Giving you a wave back. I'm going to be talking about pricing today and how to set your prices and how to deal with pricing issues. And so I have a few things that I want to share with you about that whole that major issue that people grapple with as they start and launch and grow their businesses, especially service-based businesses, because when you're in a service-based business, you're the product, right? Yes and no. So that's sort of what I want to talk to you about. I have a few different aspects of pricing that I want to discuss with you, and I also want to share some of the letters that I got from people around this topic as well, because I think they exemplify some of the most common challenges and questions that people have as they're starting and launching and growing their businesses. Now, today I'm not going to be talking about the kind of pricing that we deal with when we're working on a tangible product business. So, for example, if you're marketing shoes or computers or anything that's a tangible, or handbags or makeup, that's not what we're talking. We're really talking about the pricing the pricing challenges that we experience when we're launching a service-based business. Hey, Janet, welcome. All right. So today, let me start off by saying that I'll give you a little background. I now have been in my business for longer than I was in my corporate career, and it was a pretty long career. So it's a pretty big deal to be able to share this information with you. I am so, every day, I am really, really grateful that I have this experience, the ability to launch a business after a long career, and I'm really grateful that I had the business training that I did. But there's nothing that prepares you for doing your own business, even if you've helped other people build a business for a long time. And many of you have come into this community having had long, very successful careers in your own business, in companies, and have done a great job for your companies. And building your own business is a different deal. Hey, Linda, welcome. All right, so I want to talk a little bit. I'm going to share something with you. I learned this a long time ago about pricing. So let me just share this with you. All right, I hope you can see this. This is sort of a little grid that I learned a long time ago. And basically, it's a graph for, how to really determine pricing. It talks about at one end of one scale, we're looking at high value. And then on the other end of that scale is low value. And then on the other plane is high price and then low price. And you have to really decide where you want to be on that graph. That's really, really important. Before you even ever think about what your business is going to entail, you got to really think about this, because I'll tell you the truth, that is really one of the reasons that there are so many people that started doing what I do back in the day, and they're out of business. And there's a reason for that. Not because I'm better than them, but because I really had a very clear picture in my mind about what my objectives were, and especially about the value that I wanted to bring to the marketplace, and what value I felt I did bring, and how I wanted to command my worth in that arena. That was so important. I learned that very quickly because I started going to all these networking events, and I started talking to business owners, and they were so small thinking. I said, this is not my world. This is going to take me forever to build a business. So I knew I needed a new strategy, and I knew that where I fell, I want to point this out to you. I really wanted to be in this quadrant right here, high value, high price. I know that a lot of people feel better, more comfortable thinking, well, I'm just going to start really low and I'll work my way up. It's not, in my experience, that is not the way to go. I think that it is way more difficult to market a product and build up to higher pricing after you start lower than it is to start at a higher level and then add in lower ticket items. That's just really how I've always experienced it, and it's paid off for my clients and for myself, and I'm just sharing what I've learned. So I want to talk to you today about, first of all, you really have to get clear about where you belong on that scale and what you want. And if I really break it down, the establishing of your pricing has to do with three main areas. The first one is critical, and it really relates to sort of where you begin on this scale, on these scales. What's your belief about yourself and your value in the world? What's your mindset about your worth and your value? And how does that relate to your beliefs about money? Because if they're not in alignment, you're never going to be able to charge higher tickets even if you want to, or it's going to encourage you to be lowballing yourself because you don't believe that you're worth enough or worth more or worth what you really are. So there's a whole mindset piece that really must get addressed at the beginning of any business. And even along the way, even once you start and you're now humming along, your mindset's going to get in the way as different roadblocks come up and speed bumps come up. It's going to start to tamper with that wonderful new mindset you've been building. So it's a never-ending situation. It's always got to be worked on. So the first thing you really got to work on before you ever set your pricing is to really get clear about what is your mindset about money, about your worth. And if you've got some imposter syndrome lagging about in there, get it handled. If you've got some really just negative beliefs about your ability to earn money, that it's not ever anything you've ever really seen for yourself, go learn how to vision yourself. Because if you don't get that handled, it's going to be popping up all over the place, and it's going to be forcing you into decision making that is not going to allow you to earn at the level that you deserve and you want. So that's number one. Number two, you really want to be establishing a value-based business, not a price-oriented business. So many of you come to me telling me that you've got this really great strategy that you're going to offer a low-ticket item, and then you're going to build up into higher ticket. Then you begin to wonder why you're not making a profit, or why you're struggling, or why you're losing clients, or why you can't get new clients at the level that you want. So you really have to understand that value. This goes back to the graph that I showed you, right? It's all about value. But here's the interesting thing about value and value pricing. It's not about the value that you think, it's about the perceived value. But let's talk a little bit about perceived value. If you go back about 15 to 20 years ago, your value for a cup of coffee was about 50 cents. That was about it. Maybe it was even a quarter. And that's maybe 50 cents was a high ticket. So the value of a cup of coffee was around 50 cents, and it was that way for a very, very long time. Until enter left Starbucks, and Mr. Schultz really began traveling around Europe, and he saw the beautiful cafes in Europe, and he said, boy, I would really like to bring this back to the United States. And he had this vision, and at the time, nobody had ever heard of a $3 cup of coffee. Now we're up about $4. But here's the thing: he had a belief about this, and he had a value proposition in his mind. He wasn't just selling coffee; he was selling an experience. But here's the thing: he had to believe it before anybody else would see it. You get that? He had to believe it first. Then he had to see it in his mind's eye, and then other people could see it. Now, he did add in very, very exclusive kinds of coffees. He put it together with an experiential situation and setting, and he put it all together. And so the value was all a composite. And he was able to really, he convinced an entire culture that those of us who really are coffee lovers and really see ourselves as very upscale people, it's really worth it to buy a $3 or $4 cup of coffee. And so our value perception changed. And that's what I'm saying to you. your perception about value has to be in a place that matches how you see your own worth and a vision for the future, not just from what exists today. So many of you are looking at the competition and trying to figure out what you should price yourself at. And I say, yeah, okay, I get that, but is it really important? Aren't you going to really be working on setting yourself apart from the competition? You've got to come up with that, and you've got to match it to what the marketplace wants, not what they need. Nobody needs a $3 or $4 cup of coffee, but we want it. And that's what I want you to understand, that want will trump need any day of the week. And so you really got to understand that that's part of the pricing proposition that you've got to really start to learn about. So value-based pricing is critical. And when I say value-based pricing, that also means that you do not lower your pricing, you add value in. So I have never reduced my pricing ever. I never went in discounting my programs or my products or my services. I always added value in. And that's what I say to you, that as soon as you start discounting, or just your fear of not getting a client will force you into lowballing your price or taking what you can get, you're immediately setting yourself up for a reduction in earning, reduction in belief about yourself, and you're convincing the universe that you're not worth it. It is not a winning proposition, and it's not going to help you earn more, nor is it going to help your clients feel better about you, because right away they feel that you are, they're now questioning your value for them. So I really encourage you to think more about adding value versus reducing your prices. I know people resist me on this. They don't believe they can really make it happen. Now, I'm not saying that you can't begin with a charter pricing proposition, but very quickly, I really believe that you need to upscale your pricing. And then third is you got to be able to communicate the value. You have to express it. People have to feel confidence that you have confidence about this. If you do not have confidence about this, go get the confidence before you ever discuss it with people. That is the key. Now, in the beginning, some of the confidence is just going to come from practice. Some of the confidence is going to come from the very first person that says yes. And some of the confidence is going to come from the time that you say no to someone who's trying to lowball you. I will never forget the moment that I knew that I needed to say no to people who were trying to get my services for lower tickets. And I remember the very day that I said no the first time. And I knew it was very scary, but I would not reduce my prices. I was willing to let go of the client because I had to believe that the higher ticket clients were coming. And of course, the very next person did buy in at the higher tickets. And it was worth it to them, way worth it to them. It was actually an amazing value. And in my heart of my hearts, I knew it. I believed it. And that's what had to come first. So I say you have to have your own mindset about money and value first. You have to be able to create a value-based proposition for your clients. And 3, you have to be able to communicate this and express it internally as well as externally. If they don't feel your confidence, they're not going to feel confident, and they're not taking action. All right, so anybody got some questions for me? I'm taking questions. The coach is in office. And I hope I can see your comments. Let's see if I can do this. I'm going to try and do this. Sorry, guys. Pardon my finger, but I'm trying to do this on 2 screens. All right. Anybody got any questions for me? Shout them out. If you don't, I got some questions that came in through my messaging, and I'm happy to share them. So maybe they'll resonate with you. All right. First question came in from somebody. Let's see. Hang on one second. I want to talk to you about this one first. Heather's got a question. All right. Heather says, how do you find the potential clients who will pay you the big bucks? That's a great question. So first of all, that is really very key. So first, the first thing is you really need to identify the right niche who is going to be already oriented to seeing themselves as worth investing at a higher ticket, right? So I'll give you my story, all right? And the first thing I did when in the olden days, when I did it old school before the online world was so available, I would go to networking events where only top tier people were hanging out. So I made sure that I did not go to standard networking events. I did not go to, La Tip, and I didn't go to BNI and any of that stuff. I went to only higher level networking events. I did a lot of searching around it, and I did a whole strategic approach around that. I want to give you a story about the first time I used the right networking events to really to entice and to attract the right people at higher tickets. So I did the first 3 steps in my mind first, right? Remember all of that, the first 3 steps. Then I went to the right networking events where the right people were hanging out, and we had to do our elevator speech. And on a inspired moment, I told people what my business was about and who I served and what the value proposition was. And I told people that I was working with high-level, high-performing business people, helping them grow their businesses, because that's what I was doing at the time. And I said, listen, I know there are a lot of coaches around, but I am not your average coach. I am not your run-of-the-mill coach. I am also not the cheapest coach on the block. If that's what you're looking for, you do not want me, because I'm worth it. And I want you to know that after I gave my elevator speech, now I'm telling you, I'm not saying it was easy to say that, but I am saying that I knew that there had to be a way to set myself apart, and I had to be willing to put my neck out on the line in order for people to get the real power of what I wanted to attract. And if I wasn't willing to do that, then they weren't gonna really get the message, right? So here's what happened. As soon as the meeting had completed, the most successful person in the room ran, and I mean ran up to me and said, I want to work with you. Let's set up a meeting. He was the most successful person in the room. He had the most expensive car in the room. I found that out later. And what he responded to was, he wasn't looking for run-of-the-mill. He wanted a top-tier high performance. He saw himself as a high performer. He wanted to be more of a high performer, so that resonated with him. And he paid me exactly what I wanted, never balked, never had an objection, ever. There was never a point, and I worked with him for over 6 months. So I'm telling you that first you have to set the stage around that. And you have to go where they're going, or you have to attract them in. Now today, we have wonderful methods to attract the right people into our network. We can be a magnet. I call it the magnet method. That's what I teach my students, so that you don't have to go hunting and pecking out there. It's not to say you don't have to network or don't network. I'm saying that it's still the same ideal where you're targeting the right people, and you can do it by the right advertising targeting. So that's and plus on LinkedIn you can do it as well. So there are ways of really narrowing down your target and going where, creating the right messaging and attracting the right people in by using the right targeting of the right audiences. Either way, whether you do it old school, face-to-face, or whether you do it online, it's all the same. You either have to attract the right people into you, or you have to go where they are. All right, and Linda is saying, oftentimes I see base pricing at $199 or $299 after it's coming down for something higher. Is there something magical about, hang on, the 99? I don't know. There's 197, there's 297, and I think, oh my God, that's so cheesy, crappy. I choose to do the 95, 1995, 29.95, 995, whatever. It's just my choice. It's never, I don't know. I think that there are some statistics around that. But I think that I do think that not going, if you price something at 4,000 versus 39.95, you are going to get more traction under the higher level. But in terms of the coming down piece, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Like they keep reducing the price. All of that is this high pitch, pitchy, salesy stuff. I've experienced it. I've even participated in it. It never makes me feel like that's the process I want to teach my students. I really believe in marketing higher ticket programs, and when you do that, you want to, people start to doubt the numbers unless you really just say, look, this is the plan. Here's the plan. You want to do? I really prefer fast action, incentivizing people so that they take action rather quickly, because I think that it just makes it more palatable for everybody. Now, I will tell you that I believe that also it's very important to package your services not by the hour. I don't believe in that. I think that if you're doing it by the hour, you're pretty much giving yourself a part-time job, and you lower your own value in your own mind. So if you're doing an hourly thing, you just have to work more hours to make the money. And I don't subscribe to that either. So I'm not saying that people aren't going to do it, and I'm not saying that people don't make money at it. I'm saying it just not. I just feel that it is, companies are using an hourly model to hire consultants and trainers and people like that because it fits their model. But I think that you have to really decide what model you're going to have, and you have to teach your clients how to treat you. That's what's worked for me, and it's been working for 20 years. So that's what I'm sharing with you. And I would say to you that most of you would much rather be earning higher tickets than lower tickets. So if you like that model, stick with me. All right, letter number 1. I was told that the industry or arena that I'm in will not command higher prices. I have tons of fans and followers. They have really big needs and wants. But I'm under earning. How do I fix this? How do I fix my pricing? How do I up level when I don't really believe that my arena is really going to pay for the services at a higher ticket? So obviously the area to go to work on is your mindset. And I know this, that every single industry, there are higher ticket providers and lower ticket providers. And if you're not willing to buy into the fact that you are deserving and worthy of a higher ticket, then that's where there is to go to work. If you're going to find people at every single pricing level all the time. You're going to find accountants who charge you, $200 to do a tax return, and you're going to find accountants who charge you, $1,500 or $2,000 to do the very same tax return because of their expertise and the additional value they provide in other ways. You're going to have to decide what you're worth. Like, I personally do not want to hire a tax accountant that I don't think is going to be able to help me get out of an audit. I want someone who's really qualified. I want the best possible mentoring I can get. And if that mentor doesn't have the ability to command higher tickets and is lowballing me, like I think I hired some people years ago who were charging by the half hour, and at 29 minutes and 56 seconds they were getting me off the phone. That wasn't for me. I didn't want to be charging like that, and I didn't want to be having that kind of coaching model. I wanted to have higher quality clients. I wanted to have higher ticket clients. So I'm sharing a model that I think really works, but mostly I think that for my friend who wrote me this letter, I really want to say you go back and really take a look at what is the life-changing value that you are bringing to your people. If you don't believe that it's worth, it's like the commercial. It's priceless, and only you are limiting your ability to price these things. It really comes down to that, because people, if you see yourself as a Kia, you'll be pricing your services as a Kia. If you see yourself as a Jaguar or a Rolls Royce, that's how you're going to be pricing. And people buy cars to get from one place to the other, but there are other aspects of what they're buying when they're working with you. Remember that. So it really is not just about the number that you're putting on your price tag. It's really about the behind the scenes perspective and paradigm that you're working within. All right, so let's see. Do I have any others? Yes. Any other questions so far from the folks who are on with me live? And thank you so much for being with me live. I really appreciate it. It's really cool. Now, a lot of you guys join me after the session is over, but I do want to share a couple of other things about pricing with you. If anybody has any other questions, I'm looking. I don't see any right now. Okay, let me talk to you about another question that came in from somebody who is in the web development business and is constantly dealing with late payments from clients. All right, this is easy, you guys. Stop invoicing them. You get your payments up front, or at least partially up front, and don't do any work until they pay you everything that you're worth. Get credit card payment processing into your system. Don't invoice people. Set your business up and teach your clients how to treat you. If you don't teach them how this thing works up front, they will not They will run your business and you won't be running your business. I have never had any receivables except for once in my career when I let my guard down with one client, because I had worked with this client before. I think I've told this story a million times because it still sticks in my craw. I just haven't had any receivables, and you don't have to have them either. And every one of my clients that has them, I tell them the same thing. Stop invoicing. Get your money up front. Get payment up front. Period. Set it up. Teach them how it works. This is how this is how we work. These are the guidelines of my business. These are our policies. This is how we'll do it. Now, make them feel great about working with you and that you're totally worth it and that they can trust you. Know, like, and trust is critical. You're not going to like beat them on the head with, this is my policy and, screw you if you don't like it. It's more like you got to command how your business is going to be run. So get your money up front and automate. You can get your money. When I started my training business, I followed a very proven model. I got half the money up front, but I did not deliver the rest of the training until I got my check in hand. Even if they flew me there, I didn't care. I wasn't training until I got my check in the hand. No one ever stiffed me, ever. And I never had any receivables, and you don't have to have them either. And the third question came in from somebody about raising prices. This is a great one. How do I raise my prices with my existing clients? I haven't raised them in 3 years. First of all, it's really, in a service business, I get it. You want to keep your clients, especially the ones that are consistently paying you, working with you, that you love working with them. If they are a draining client, raise those prices. And if they don't like it, get rid of them if they're draining you. I'm telling you, it's not worth it. In fact, it's a great way of dumping them because they can't, they're going to be frustrated enough and they'll choose to leave instead of you having to deal with having that uncomfortable conversation. However, this is what I want to say about raising prices. I like the model of raising my prices with new clients as opposed to convincing old clients to work with me at higher tickets. Sometimes it is really viable to do an add-on in a program or a service and you charge for the add-on, and that is one way of raising your price so that you're compensated properly. But I always find that it's nice to be generous with your current clients, give them greater value, and then when you offer a higher ticket program or you're offering something new, they're more apt to want to buy into your new program. But I like to raise prices with new clients. It's easier. I don't have to go back in and start, because there are clients who will leave you when you raise prices because then they'll go on a shopping trip. Until then, people pretty much want to stay, and loyalty only goes so far today. As great as you are, and as much as your students will love you or your clients will love you, they are going to be apt to be looking around because there's so much information coming at them all the time. So I just sort of like to make things easy on myself. I keep prices pretty much where I began with them until I start offering additional services. I might offer them a charter price for new services so they feel a little good, feel like they're getting a great value, and then tell them that after a certain amount of time the pricing will go up. But I really tend to offer my increasing prices to new clients, and it makes my life easier and I don't have to worry about it, and then everybody's happy. So those are my tips for pricing. If you guys have any other questions, let's see, any other questions, you guys? Anything else for me? All right, that's it for today. I hope you've gotten value out of this. I hope you've gotten inspiration. I hope you will go to work on your mindset around money and pricing. I hope you will really take me up on my invitation to really think about what your value is and command your worth. Good question. Heather's saying, what does a charter price or charter client mean? Sorry, a little bit of a lingo there, business lingo. So charter price or charter client means, when you are doing a new launch or a new program or offering a new service, your first clients, it could be your first 2 or 3 clients, I would consider them your charter clients. They're like your early bird clients. They are sort of your testing ground and your proving ground. And it's nice to give them a great feeling that they're willing to come in and give your program, your services, they're willing to come in at the early stage. And so I think it's really great to give them a nice feeling for being first and early bird. So I call it charter pricing. It doesn't mean necessarily free, although you can do some pro bono charter work with people, but only, and I mean this seriously, only for a certain amount of time and only for a certain number of people. Too many of you are giving people stuff for free indefinitely and you never ever get paid. It's ridiculous. So I think the most I've ever done, I think I've done 2 or 3 clients pro bono for like a month or something. That's all I've ever done. And then people came in, and every single person that came in as a pro bono client, I explained the parameters of this. They had to come in with all of the parameters of an actual client. They had to sign an agreement. They had to promise to work the program. They had to make some promises. And this is the other thing. I really required that they had to sign off that they would give me a review or a testimonial if they liked the service. They didn't have to like the service and say you did great if I didn't, but they did have to be willing to share it with other people if it was a good review. And that worked 100% of the time. So charter means your first students, your first clients, your first people, and then but you have a finite number, and you need to have a plan around that. And you, as my students, some of you are my students, and you know that is exactly what I teach you. Hey Kimberly, how are you? Good to see you. Janet's asking, does the pro bono client get the full program in 1 month? So here's how it works, Janet. After the pro bono client comes, is working with you, I tell them before that pro bono session or sequence is up, this is how it's going to work. I am offering you the full program. And then I might give them the charter pricing. So yes, in a way, yes, exactly. But I clarify it with them before the end of the pro bono sequence is up. So we have a full-on discussion about that. And because they know when they're coming in pro bono that I'm going to be requiring them to have review time with me and to give me feedback, they know the deal. And they agree, we come to mutual agreements about that. And they've signed off on it. So it's a very official approach. It's not namby-pamby, pie in the sky, seat of the pants. It's got to be serious. If you're not serious, they're not going to treat it seriously. Hey, Carolyn, great to see you. All right, guys, let's see. Any other questions for me on pricing? Oh, guys, you guys have been so awesome. I'm so glad that I was able to be with you today. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for your questions. I love hearing about them. I love to hear about your successes, implementing some of the things that I've been teaching you. And I want to remind you that if you're still grappling with pricing, with any of the issues about up-leveling your business, with learning how to attract higher ticket clients or putting that into practice in your business, if you're looking to really bring your business into a greater level of freedom and be able to attract the right kinds of clients in your service-based business, and you especially want to be able to do this as an online venture, I would love to have us be in a deeper conversation. I can't get into too much detail in these very short Facebook Live sessions, and of course I can't give you personalized answers. So definitely reach out to me for a discovery call. You go to www.thebusinessfox.com/let's-talk. www.thebusinessfox.com/let's-talk. And of course, I do some very content-rich complimentary trainings for you to be learning more about starting and growing a service-based business after leaving a long career, either in the corporate world or the business world, or even if you've had your own business and you're now looking at ways of completely reinventing your business. So go to www.thebusinessfox.com/revive your career. And I've got a full complimentary workshop training for you to watch, and you can get lots of great value-based content there, and it is my gift to you. It is only my gift to you folks in this community, so it's a very specialized invitation. All right, you guys? I'll post the links below. Hope you've gotten value out of today, and definitely give me your feedback. I love your comments and your any more questions, if you haven't been able to submit them before today or during today's session, I'm happy to answer them. So just post them in the comment box. All right, you guys, have a fantastic weekend. I think of you often. I'm sending you love and wishes for success, and go forth and price yourself into success. All right, you guys, have a great weekend. Bye.